Hey everybody, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Scott and I've just been living on Red Dead Redemption 2 like the rest of the world. The game that Rockstar have created is just one of the most over-the-top, opulent and ridiculously detailed creations that they've ever put together, and I've been completely blown away by it. That said, their depiction of the Wild West is loaded with things to see and do, and gameplay secrets and Easter eggs and all that kind of stuff, things that we'll probably do future videos on in the coming weeks. For now though, let's focus on the gameplay side, because there's even more to the way that Arthur Morgan controls than you might know from the outset. With all that in mind, I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and this is Red Dead Redemption 2, 14 tips and tricks the game doesn't tell you. Number 14, DoubleTap L1 or LB to spin your weapon before holstering. There is nothing cooler than wiping out a whole bunch of bandits or just having some altercation in the middle of a town where you've threatened a guy, spinning your gun and putting it back in the holster. You can double tap L1 or LB to do so, and it's just about the coolest thing in the game. Number 13, jump in rivers to clean Arthur instead of paying for baths. Who even wants to pay for a bath in the Wild West? You can just leap into the water and things will clean themselves. Brilliantly, Rockstar have thought of this, and if you stand in the water, you'll see blood drain off Arthur, or you'll see mud or different stains go over time. Yes, they actually put time and effort into making sure that stains slowly go away. It's because video games, because Rockstar. Number 12, dive in combat with square or X. Now, as far as I can tell, the game never actually points this out, but when you're aiming with L2 or left trigger, you can press square or X to just dive in any direction. It's the same kind of dive that was in Max Payne 3, and it means that you can get out the line of fire and get to cover. Brilliantly, if you press R1 or RB during the dive or when you hit the ground, Arthur will segue this into a new animation where he immediately scrambles back into cover. It's extremely helpful, and if you just need to get your health back, make sure you use it. Number 11, drink beer and do chores at camp to restore Deadeye. At one point in the story, you'll get to take part in one of the coolest scenes, which is the campfire party scene. This is where the game finally points out that there are little crates of beer that you can just grab a bottle from and swig it, but these are still available across the game anyway. Whenever you're in camp, you can just pick up one of the bottles and drink it, and this actually restores the main Deadeye core, which you need to, get Deadeye in general. Doing chores around the camp does the same thing, and it means that there's actually a purpose to doing all of the ancillary random chores around the camp. Number 10, how to steal without being kicked in the head. Now, the horses in Red Dead 2 are clearly the MVPs of the whole thing, but if you've ever tried to go towards any enemy's horse to steal what was in their saddlebags, chances are you've been brained and kicked in the face. The way to get around this is to first calm the horse. Hold left trigger or L2, target the horse and press calm. Make sure you're near its head, don't go near those death-dealing legs, and just calm the thing down. Eventually, you'll be able to go back towards its rear, lol, and extract whatever's there. That's even worse. Number 9, press circle to attack sideways when on horseback. Now, I didn't know Rockstar were making Road Rage circa 1899, but if you press circle or B when you're on horseback, you'll do kicks and elbows left to right. It means you can fend off attackers without killing them if you're trying to escape an even higher bounty, or if you just want to annoy some random NPC who's just fobbed you off, just ride alongside and give him one of them. Number 8, why you keep getting bounties. One of the most annoying things about trying to get away with random crimes when you're in some sort of built-up area is that you'll nearly always accrue a bounty. It always feels like there's some ever-present eye watching your every move, and, it can get in the way of your nefarious deeds. To get around that, you need to understand that there are two systems at play, Witness and Wanted. Witness is what pops up in the top right corner, and it's a white font. It lets you know that someone's seen what you're doing and they're about to report it. It doesn't mean that you've got a bounty yet, though, and if you can chase down that person, hold L2 left trigger and talk to them, hopefully you can talk them out of it, or you can kill them, and that'll negate the bounty entirely. It's only when they actually report the crime to a sheriff or a law officer or someone else that you'll start to see your name appear in the top right because you've been identified. You'll see this after certain story missions too, as different areas will pulsate with a red color down in the minimap. This lets you know that there's been so much noise or maybe a whole bunch of gunfire. It means that there is law enforcement coming to that area, but they haven't identified you yet. In these cases, you just need to get the hell away from that area, but just keep in mind that if the font is white, you can nearly always control the situation, but if it starts to get red, then you need to start paying off bounties or running for your life. Number 7, hold R1 on horseback at the last minute to avoid going over cliffs. Now, as you can see from the menagerie of online viral clips, all sorts of horses and characters are flying over cliffs and being killed in the process. But if you find yourself running towards a cliff edge and you only realize last minute, just hold R1 and keep it held. That usually means that you'll trigger the animation where your horse rears back and stops plummeting over the edge of the cliff. It doesn't work 100% of the time. If you're going full speed and you don't realize until literally you're on the edge, you can't, reverse time or anything. But if you're trying to look after your steed, just keep a finger poised over R1 if you're going over a blind crescent or whatever, and hopefully you can avoid plummeting to the depths below. Number 6, how to get perfect wildlife kills. So for the longest time, I was just headshotting deer and then wondering why it was forever in the poor condition. Turns out there's way more to it than that, and you can actually use Deadeye to bring up the different heat maps on the animal to make sure that you're targeting the right areas. Not only that, but the weapon that you're using or the ammo type matters as well. Looking online sees various fans have brought together the exact weapon and ammo combo that you should use per animal, because animal size does matter as well. But just know that if you're going for headshots and you're savoring the body, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work out in the end. You need to factor way more elements into the kill rather than just going for the head. Number 5, your horse will auto-navigate the trees if you let it. Back to the viral videos that have emerged alongside Red Dead's cultural dominance. What you need to do to get through any random bunch of trees without colliding into them is to actually let your horse take point. Now, it does feel counterintuitive to not steer with the left analog stick when you've got so many obstacles coming at you, but if you just press X or A by itself, the horse AI will take over and it'll navigate through the trees itself. As your bond increases with the horse, it's more effective at doing this. It's not a 100% guarantee that you're not still going to face plant the tree, but for the vast majority of the time, if you just let the horse's AI take over, this will actually see you through in a much more effective way. That way, you can avoid the hilarity of something like this. Number 4, you can jump to trains and stagecoaches from horseback. Now, super fans might remember that back in the original Red Dead Redemption, there was a screenshot revealed that showed John Marsden jumping from horse to stagecoach. This didn't make it into the full game, but it's in Red Dead 2. All you need to do is ride alongside a stagecoach or a train and look for the little prompt to appear in the bottom right corner. Once that's there, just push the button and Arthur will do the rest. Number 3, use L3 and R3 to see which items you can pick up or interact with indoors. The beginning of the game is a notable slog. It's put off quite a lot of people just due to the laborious nature or the really methodical way that you work through different items indoors. There is a way to get around that though, and that's by pressing both the analog sticks in. This is where Rockstar go full Ubisoft territory and just give you a vision mode that highlights what you can interact with. It's very helpful when you're in bandit camps though, because then you can actually zero in on exactly what's worth picking up and you can just get on with the game. Number 2, check the compendium for percentage gear stats. Speaking of Ubisoft, the percentage-based progression is in this game, it's just nowhere near the surface level. Instead, if you pause the game and go to the compendium, that's where you can see all the different gear parts and weapons and different upgrades that you've applied to Arthur Morgan, how they're all intermingling with each other, and just how far you're getting from the start of the game to the end. It means you can keep more of an eye on exactly how effective you're going to be in a gunfight, and it might just save your hide later on if you know that a certain gun is going to do well. Number 1, use bushes and foliage to lose pursuers and lower your wanted level. And finally, one of the most simple points, if you just need to get rid of a pursuer or lose eyesight with someone who's tracking you, just leap into a bush or foliage or a tree line, whatever. If you can obscure Arthur on screen, chances are that the person chasing you can't see you either. You'll know because the color on the mini-map will have gone darker. The brighter the red, the more aware they are, whereas the darker, the more invisible you are. And that's my list. That's what I've picked up from living on Red Dead since midnight on launch till now. Let me know what you think down in the comments and if there's any other secrets or tips and tricks that you've picked up. I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com and I'll catch you soon.